بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we're continuing with the same chapter that we've been on for the past couple of reminders, which is regarding the love that the scholars had with books, in both reading and also collecting books. And last week we finished our story of Ahmad ibn Yahya, who's also known as Tha'lab. And we mentioned the way he passed away, that he was walking while he was reading, and he was so much into his book reading, he didn't realize that a horse was galloping, and he went right into him, and he fell down into a pit, and that caused him to become ill, and the following day he passed away. And I said as a little homework, find out how Imam Muslim passed away, because he had a similar story, which was that a hadith was mentioned to him that he either hadn't heard before or he had heard, but he wasn't 100% sure of it. So he went back to his study and he started looking for these books, looking for this hadith. So he was reading book after book, page after page. You know, they didn't have a search engine, Google or Shamila or anything like that we have now. So to find a hadith, you have to go literally page by page. So what he had done is that with him he put a plate of dates, okay, quite a number of dates with him. So as he was researching, as he was turning over the pages, every now and again, just having a date and so on. And what ended up happening is that the whole night he was searching for this one hadith, and once Fajr time came, alhamdulillah, he found the hadith, but at the same time, all of the dates were finished as well. And because he had too many dates, that caused him to become ill. And then later on, a few days later, that illness was the cause of him passing away. So subhanAllah, again, what was the cause of him passing away is that he was just into that love of his books. And if you continue with the author said, now it's quite long, another 20-30 pages, so I'll just summarize and mention a couple more incidents, because we mentioned quite a few in the past few lessons. But he mentions how many of the ulama, when they would walk, they would be reading, or somebody would be reading to them and so on. And then he mentions a contemporary example, because sometimes you may think that these people were 1,000 years ago and so on. But he mentions an example of somebody who passed away just less than 25 years ago. Someone you might have heard of, Sheikh Ibn Baz rahimahullah. And he mentions how it was normal every single day for him to be walking, and he was blind, so he couldn't read the book himself, but somebody would be reading the book to him. He'd be walking, smiling, and somebody would be reading the book to him. And that's something that we've seen, and also if you go to Umrah, you'll see as well, where you see the ulama when they have their lessons, and when the lesson finishes, you'll find the students just crowd around them, and as they're walking back to their car, as they're walking outside, the students are just there asking questions and so on. And many students, they end up walking barefoot, because by the time they go back inside to the masjid to get their shoes, they've lost the sheikh. So they end up walking with the sheikh to however far he's parked, just so that they can listen to him, ask him questions and so on. And that's the love that a person should have of knowledge and of the people that also carry that knowledge. And then the author, rahimahullah, he mentions other stories. He mentions stories of how some ulama were writing, and they wrote over 700 volumes. And then he mentions other stories and incidents such as Ibn at-Tabban, where at night he would love reading so much, his mother would actually tell him off and tell him you're not allowed to read. And what he would do when his mom would enter the room, he would have a jafna, which is like a big pot or something, and he would just hide the book behind there. And when his mom would go, he would carry on reading. Now we have the same thing, but it's not with books, it's with phone. But at that time, they used to do this with books. And subhanAllah, if you just imagine yourself, if you spent not even the whole time, but even half the time, or a third of the time, or a quarter of the time that you spend on your phone, how much could you have actually read? How much Qur'an could you have read? How many books could you have read? And now you have these applications, and you have these settings where you can click, and it shows you how many hours you spend on each app as well. So just have a look at that, and you'll realize that you'll be surprised that it's a lot more than you would think it to be. Anyways, the author, rahimahullah, he carries on and he mentions a number of more examples. And I just want to finish off with one contemporary one of my teachers, Shaykh al-Muhsin al-Qasim, hafizahullah. And what we used to see with him in Masjid Nabawi was that he's a judge, he's an Islamic judge in the court. So in the morning, he would be in the court. And sometimes he would be teaching in the Islamic University of Medina. He used to teach al-Qada, being a judge in masters. So that's what he would do in the morning. And then at Asr time, he would sit in Masjid Nabawi. He has a spot where he used to sit, and he would just sit there. And all he would be doing is writing books, reading books, doing editing books, and that's all he would be doing. And sometimes, whilst he's doing that, people used to recite Qur'an to him. And I remember when I used to recite Qur'an to him, the Shaykh would be writing, the books he would be writing, he's published now. So it wasn't just some normal, like they were proper in-depth research books. For example, his Mutun Talib al-Ilm, you might have seen those small pocket-sized one. He's looked over 120 manuscripts just for that, and so on. And I used to recite Qur'an to him, and even though he's writing, if I used to make a mistake, that's how strong he was in Qur'an, he would take that mistake out no matter what. He's talking to somebody, he hears a mistake, he will take it out like that. Because the Qur'an is like second nature to him. In English, if you speak and you mess up, you say a word wrong, people pick up, the man will say it, but you can hear it straight away, right? Even if you don't know the rule. He was like that with Qur'an, and he was like that with reading books and writing, and he would be there from Asr till Maghrib. And once, subhanAllah, I saw him get up, because he's the Imam of Masjid Nabawi. So he got up and he said, just wait, I'm coming back. He went, he led Salah in Masjid Nabawi, and after Salah, what he did, he got a shimagh, the scholar shimagh, he got it and he covered his face like this. He covered it like that, and then he just walked out with the people. He walked all the way back, came back to our spot, prayed 2 rak'at sunnah, and he sat back down and he said, Iqra, read. That's it. Like nothing happened. And then he would sit there from Maghrib till Isha, doing the same thing. And after Isha, for 2 hours after Isha, he would have his open lecture that anyone can attend, where he would teach 4 different books. But this is one example, contemporary example of how the ulama are when it comes to knowledge, and how they spend their whole lives just with knowledge and in benefiting the people. And anything to do with knowledge, any sort of benefit with knowledge, that's how they spend their time. And again, just to remind you, alhamdulillah, we've got so many classes going on right now in the masjid. We have classes in Aqidah. We've done nearly half the book now. Ta'zeem al-Ilm, we've done more than a quarter of a book. So once they finish, we'll move on to other subjects, tafsir and others as well. And the weekends we have Arabic. All these are amazing opportunities. Nobody has the excuse to turn around and say, scholars were like this and they were like this. No, you have the same opportunity right now. The classes are there. They're recorded as well, so it's not like they're not recorded. They're live streamed, so if you can't attend live, you can watch it from home, or if you're traveling and so on. The opportunity is there. And if we want to attain those high levels, the high statuses that the ulama reached, then we have to also put in that effort as well. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us beneficial knowledge and allow us to truly venerate knowledge and to apply that knowledge in our lives. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.